you, Night Talk. That little ditty, that was very catchy, wasn't it? The song
The
before
promo
that
for
was
Miss B show.
very catchy indeed. I like it. Yeah, very nice. I like
Yeah,
it.
it's
I
very
like it a lot. That's very, very nice. Very, like I said, very catchy. Miss B, if you can hear me, love that music. Love it, love it. It's reminiscent of John Carpenter, but you're probably too young to know who that is. No, just just us old fogies. We know. Hey, anywho, this is Platos Cave, coming to you from Australia, the land down under, for Revolution Radio on Revolution.radio. The one, the only, the biggest, we hope, listener-funded, supported, and kept, if you want to call it that, radio station in the world. We are the kept woman of the radio stations, and you, dear listener, are our secret devil lover. Not today, Satan, he says. Not today, Satan. This is listener-funded radio, like I just said, so please donate if you can. Any kind of currency is good, including crypto. Crypto's good. Gold, silver, diamonds, anything that falls. Jingling is okay, but we do need to keep those electrons pumping through the copper. Yes, otherwise nothing happens. Hey, importantly, you can listen to us on all platforms. Any platform, any app, including a Grace tabletop digital radio at home. That's pretty cool, right? And just in case you hadn't heard, the archives are completely free.
What?
Completely free.
Free?
There, listen. Free, gratis, umsonst, no down payment, no afterpay. No, it's free. Freelicious. Yeah, so go in there, get it done. Get it done. It's how many things are free these days, really? This is
just
free.
the one. That's it.
Just the thing. Now, okay, right. Before we start broadcasting at you in anger, we would like to acknowledge the traditional custodians of the land from which we broadcast. And for Dave,
it's the Jarkanyan.
The vocal stylings of Dave. And for me, of course, the direct people. And we would like to pay our respects to elders past, present, and future. Thank you very much. La, 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 la. I've been thinking about doing a video where I whistle. I'm doing a whistling video.
Oh.
And I'm also going to do a health warning. I had the idea for a health warning where I found that pedophilia is actually bad for your health. It can lead to assisted suicide in dark and damp prison cells. So my advice is, do not indulge in pedophilia.
Don't do it.
It is bad for your health. But there's going to be a whole video on that, and it's going to be funny.
That's destroyed this video. That's all right. Keep going. Why not?
Are we going to be banned from this as well? Well,
that's
how lucky
right.
we might. Get banned. Get bent. No, look, hey, listen. Jimmy Kimmel is back. I'm sure Dave. Actually, we had the first ever pre-show meeting just earlier. How about that? For 2 minutes, Dave tried to tell me that this should be a planning session, and I was just off with a ferry. So that's what happens. Anyway, so we'll get better at this.
Wait. So Jimmy Kimmel is gone, and then Jimmy Kimmel is back. It only took
now.
What's that? 3 days. 3 days.
Yeah, something like that. No.
He's back, or 4 that, something like that. What a way to run the planet. I wonder what he said.
No, just no, he didn't say anything. Just in case
freedom
you
of
think
speech?
it's because no, nothing to do with it. Who cares about freedom of speech? To be honest, that's not even coming anywhere near it. No, there are 3 main reasons why Jimmy Kimmel is back in the air. 1, Disney share price dropped significantly.
That's the
in
truth.
response to Jimmy Kimmel's dismissal. Okay. 2, there was a fairly significant protest movement by celebrities as well as regular people, berating Disney. And thirdly, this is amazing, there was a spike on how to unsubscribe from the services that no longer air Jimmy Kimmel. Okay, so these 3 things. And you know what they are?
No, I've got something.
Go on.
So, and I was thinking, we could have bought Star Wars. LucasArts could have bought Star Wars back from Disney.
Could have.
And stopped them having dancing stormtroopers.
Yeah.
Right?
So
that could have been a thing, Becky. It could have been a thing.
Yeah. But
we could have rescued it back.
That's not going to happen now. Rescued it back. No, we're going to have all the Star Wars spin-offs in the universe, in the galaxy very close by, making lots of money for someone that you don't know. The thing is this. We've learned a number of things here, though, okay? But the most important thing that we've learned is you got to hit them where it hurts, which is in the pocketbook. Okay, if you threaten someone's cash flow, they will react, and this is what happened here. And now think about this for a second. The reason Jimmy Kimmel and similar to Stephen Colbert, but Jimmy Kimmel was taken without so much pomp and procedure, he was just taken off the air, right, from one day to the next. The reason that happened was because he offended Donald Trump, right? Forget what he said about Charlie Kirk and how other people felt about what he said about Charlie Kirk. And I listened to what he said about Charlie Kirk. He didn't say anything about Charlie Kirk that was in any way controversial. He really didn't. What he did say was that the right, you guys really have to get over the whole left and right thing. It's destroying your country like it is destroying my country. Okay, Republicans, Democrats, they're all dead. It's dead in the water. Find something new. But the point is this. They were offended because he said that the MAGA people are trying their darndest to make the shooter not look like a MAGA person. Okay, that's what he said. That's what upset people, that specific thing. And it upset Donald Trump. So why is this important? Because there was a merger happening, right? Something the FCC could block, something Donald Trump could block. So they weighed in and said, hey, this is no good. He should be taken off the air. And then Donald Trump jumped in. This is just the beginning. We're going to take everybody's licenses will be pulled. Ha-ha. Yeah. But then something amazing happened. People started to care. And they cared with their wallet. Okay? Unsubscribing from the service. Looking to boycott Disney in general. The stars boycotting Disney as well and calling people to boycott. All of that affected the share price and ultimately the bottom line of Disney. It affected it enough for them to flip and say, "Hey, let's bring him back. Let's bring him back. Let's see what's what." I'm gonna watch his show. I think it's tonight my time to see what he has to say about the whole thing. But that's the only reason, because people acted, and they acted in the only way that corporations understand. Take away the profit.
I wanted them to hit rock bottom so I could buy Disney, you see?
I understand. I hear you, Dave. Very good.
That's what
and
I
rescue
wanted.
Star Wars. Yes.
Yeah, rescue Star Wars. I don't care. Whatever else they have, I really don't care. That's all I wanted to do was rescue
spin-offs.
Star Wars. That's right. And stop the stormtroopers from dancing. That's what I wanted. And I wanted to make sure Jar Jar Binks never came back. But you know what? With all of this mayhem, he could have had a spin-off show of his own. Hey, what could be worse than a Star Wars holiday special? Nothing.
Donald Trump being the emperor.
No.
Oh no. There's many things.
The Star Wars Christmas special is the worst thing that's ever been made, ever. That's all right.
Seen it?
Yeah, it was terrible. If you
awesome.
If you want to never ever get that time back, you'll find it on YouTube. So watch it as much as you like.
I love that special. Clearly a divided opinion. Dave loves it and I hate it. That's what we're saying here.
We disagree to disagree there.
That's right. Now, okay, so that's. I mean, with the fun and games, I mean, it's good news though that they have rescinded the execution order, as it were.
Mm-hmm.
And does it mean that free speech is now protected until the end of time? Of course not.
No.
This only happened because someone's pocketbook was at risk. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
The profit and revenue of Disney was directly threatened by the actions that were taken. Tomorrow, who knows what's going to happen tomorrow? You know, I mean, it is a worry though that when the country that touts itself to be the champion of free speech and liberty and democracy starts bringing in hate speech laws and tells people what they can and cannot say. It's funny. Donald Trump came in his platform was free speech. Everybody, you know, should be able to say what they want, and free speech is important. And it was all the rage before the election. Even after the election, yeah, free speech, blah, blah. As long as your free speech agrees with whatever I say and do. So we're all clear here, right? Free speech in general is more nebulous. Right. I don't really like to.
But
if you agree with me, you know what's funny? This was happened when they. Look, this is it could be an anecdote that is not true, but I heard it, and so I'm going to repeat it here. When the Muslims and Muslim conquerors sacked the Library of Alexandria, they decided to burn it down. So we lost a lot of books. I mean, millions, or certainly millions of volumes. In any event, so you ask yourself, well, what's the rationale here? This was the rationale, okay? And funnily enough, it was the same rationale that the Catholic Church employed in South America when they burned all the Maya and the Toltec and Aztec tombs, or rather tomes. So either it agrees with my holy book in Alexandria, it was the Quran. In South America, of course, it was the Bible. So either the books agree with my holy book, in which case I really only need my holy book, or they don't agree with my holy book, in which case it's blasphemy and I should burn them as well. So by that rationale, let's burn it all. Because right? For all the stuff that agrees with me, I don't really need it. Thank you very much. And for all the stuff that doesn't agree with me, well, it shouldn't really exist in the first place. And I think that's where we are slowly moving into America. As long as it agrees with Donald Trump, you're A-okay. No problems. If you start disagreeing with him, not so good for you.
Well, Mackie, in Australia, guess what? Oh, go ahead. No, you finish your thought.
Oh, no. The Supreme Court struck down his $15 billion lawsuit of I think, was it the New York Times? I can't remember. Or maybe it was the Wall Street Journal. Whoever he sued for $15 billion, they said, no, you can't do that. That's not going to happen. You can always appeal, of course.
Yeah, you can. You can always appeal. So in Australia, on the 10th of December, social media companies in Australia will be forced by the government's ruling to not allow children of 15 years and under on social media. So how are they to accomplish this, Mackie? They're to accomplish this by forcing everyone who's 16 and older to provide ID to prove who they are, that they are over 15. And, it's to protect the children. It really is. No, it's really just to monitor everyone's use of the internet. That's all it is. And so I know that, the dream of having actual free speech it's a long distant thought that is going away anyway. Just forget it. Forget that it was even a thing. We could look back fondly in the past and remember those days when you could laugh at someone's post without it upsetting anybody. Because, if you post something and there's 3 options, someone's going to provide one of those options. And you should not take anything to heart. It's the internet, and it's basically filled with a bunch of pork chops. It doesn't matter. If you ask the internet a question, you'll get probably as many different people who is responding to it as different answers. No one is going to know really what you're talking about. Someone's just going to put a photo of a cat as their answer, even though it was nothing to do with cats. I watch this all the time, and I'm disappointed in humanity as a whole for using what we've got in such a poor way. It could be the intelligence platform that we all wanted. Or it could just be, what did Dr. Cox say from that medical show that I love, Scrubs? What did he say? If they took if they took all the porn off the internet, there'd only be one website left, and it would be bring back the porn. That's what it would say. And because social media now, all the companies have basically removed the internet that we grew up with and just replaced it with themselves. You don't really make, if you have a company, Mecca, you don't really make a website anymore. What you do is you just have a Facebook page. Just have a Facebook presence. That's it. And you can have a chat room there. It's all paid for. You don't have to pay for anything. And so, in the olden days, you'd have your own website and your own content and everything. It'd be fantastic. Pay a fee to someone so you could have it. Not anymore. And the amount of traffic that we're seeing across the planet, only social media based, is off the charts. I've never seen anything like it. So, this is where my complaint lies. If they're going to control everything you say and monitor everything you say, have a social profile on your person, be able to trend the changes, therefore future crimes. If you're trending in one direction, they could nudge you back, or they could just say, well, you're going in the direction of being a terrorist or some kind of criminal. We're going to take you for reprogramming. You wait, that's got to be coming. Then social credit for being a good, happy little Vegemite on the internet, never breaking your laws, never doing anything wrong. Maybe you'll get some kind of positive. I think that'll go by the wayside. I think just doing that will be a zero-sum game. You won't get anything. The only way you could actually get anything is by turning someone bad in. Wonderful, fabulous prizes to be won, Meki, in the shape of what's to come by the trending of what they're doing. There's no repealing it. It's going to happen, and it's just a matter of time.
Unless people stand up and are counted. So, to be clear, it is not all doom and gloom. There are certain things that are developing, but as you can see, they can be stopped. Things can be stopped. Things can be different. Things can be, I guess, ameliorated. You don't have to, be exposed to the full force of things going sideways. And the best way to do that is to do away with the institutions that we know no longer work. We know they no longer work. The institutions are no longer any good. Okay, Republican Party, Democratic Party, Labour, Liberal, CDU, SPD. It doesn't really matter, right? Even Likud, Israel. These political parties are no longer reflective or representative of the larger populations they are meant to represent. Okay, now, how did that happen? It happened because we are traditional creatures. We like routine. So if your parents voted for Labour, and your grandparents voted for Labour, and your great-grandparents voted for Labour, maybe you also voted for Labour. And that's how things are done, and that's how things are moving along in the world. Why are you Republican? Or because my parents are? I mean, some people might say, well, they are my values. They're Republican values. Well, are they really in America? Are they really? Is the MAGA movement representing your values? Really?
Well, looking at the two parties leading up to the election, it kind of turned into a anybody but Kamala election.
Well,
for those people who voted for Trump, yeah.
The independent, that's called. I mean, they're very important. I mean, you've got the block of voters for Republicans, you've got a block of voters for Democrats. Now, but bear in mind, the Democratic Party is no longer what the Democratic Party once was.
That's
the
right.
Republican Party is no longer the Republican Party. It's now the Donald Trump Party.
Mm-hmm.
And if you don't agree with Donald Trump, then that's not so good for you, okay? Because you have no future. So a lot of Republicans that are going against Donald Trump these days, they said, "Oh, I'm not going to run again. So I'm just going to put on the line here. I'm going to vote. I'm going to vote this way. I'm going to vote that way." It's astounding. And still we haven't resolved Epstein.
Mm-hmm.
Has been released.
JFK.
Okay. Now yeah, JFK.
Moon landing.
Forget 9/11. Moon landing.
9/11.
None of this, and none of it will be released. Why?
Isn't it a
Because
week later, Mackie, and we still haven't had anything?
No, that's correct.
They were going to postpone it, and then it's not come out.
Yeah, look, Donald Trump is the master of postponements. Oh, I'll put a sanction on him in 2 weeks' time. Oh, I'll do something in 3 weeks' time. Oh, I'll do something in 4 weeks' time. It never comes. It never happens because he knows people forget. And even if they don't forget, then something else will happen which makes him change his mind. Like, oh, there should have been sanctions on Russia because he didn't go ceasefire. He goes, so the timeline passes, right? The deadline passes, and he goes, oh, no. Well, if the Europeans stop buying Russian oil, that's when I do something. When the moon is made from cheese, I'll do something. Oh, when we find life on the sun, that's when I'll do something.
Oh, there's got to be something up there, Mackie.
There's got to be something, but it's always something. He's always pushing it out because he will never do anything either against Israel or Russia. And of course, what's happening here is that China is going, sweet bananas. This is exactly what we've been waiting for. It's fantastic. And to Dave's point, that we had some treaties fall through recently in the Pacific, Australia, that is. Now, Australia is meant to be an important partner for America. We know that Trump doesn't care because he snubbed Albanese again. He hasn't met him. But the two treaties with Vanuatu and Papua New Guinea, now Dave tells me, I hadn't seen the story, that Vanuatu has now signed a police agreement with China, meaning that the Chinese will augment the Vanuatuan police force, which is actually a pretty big deal, to be honest. And similarly, we can expect, I guess, Papua New Guinea to come up with something where China is doing something for them. China is not, they're doing exactly what they should be doing with America stepping away from the world stage. This shouldn't surprise anyone. It's not a surprise. It can't be a surprise. It's obvious. And China would like to be the world leader in everything, right? And you know what? Honestly, what's the difference if they were? Let's. I want to talk about this for a second.
Because they're the other team. That's the only reason people don't want it. Mm-hmm.
Correct. Now, but think about this for a second. So yes, okay. So, English-speaking dominance, America dominated for 80 years, etc., etc. But ultimately, you have to ask yourself, would we be better or worse off? Now, the Chinese, by and large, they don't really care too much about your politics as long as you don't criticize them. Other than that, they don't really care what you do. They want to have open markets. They want to trade with you. They don't really believe in copyright. Okay, fair enough. They do make everything, right? Everything in the world is made by the Chinese, pretty much. And they want trade and they want prosperity for their people. That's fair. And ultimately, you have to ask yourself, how many wars has China started in the last 80 years? The answer is not very many, right? If you can even mention a few. They have invaded Tibet, yes. They're suppressing the Uyghur and other minorities in their own country, yes. But in kind, that is no different to what Australia or America are doing to the indigenous people, right? No different, really. Because what we do to the indigenous people in Australia is just as bad as the Chinese do to the Uyghurs. And what the Americans are doing to the native peoples, as well as brown and black people, right, which were imported, if you will, is on par. And China hasn't started a lot of wars. America started a bucket load of wars, right? Consequential wars that changed the face of certain regions on the planet. Okay, so who is the better global leader? I'm not saying either way. What I'm saying is think about it. Think about it. So what's the difference, right? So your kids learn Mandarin instead of English in school. Well, so what? Or maybe they do learn English still, depending on the country you're in, right? You have to look at it from a dispassionate perspective, because the wheel of time and the march of history will inexorably lead to a certain point and go a certain way. And there's not a lot you can do to stand in its way as a single person, even as a country. History has a way of sweeping everybody along like a big flood. And before we know it, we have a new world order, right? And here it is, and this is what it looks like. And I'll be honest with you, I said this before, and I posted a few shorts to that effect. The UN, because that's probably the most well-known international organization, is no longer reflecting reality. It isn't. It is 80 years out of date. It has never been updated. Dave, imagine we would be still on a computer that had an 80-year-old operating system.
I don't think that's a thing.
How would that go? It wouldn't go so good. If it's 80 years old, we're talking about a computer the size of a house, right? So, so you have to go with the times. But our institutions, even our worldview to some extent, hasn't changed in 80 years. That's good, stability and all that. But there's literally there are hundreds of millions of people which don't have the appropriate representation, okay, in the world. They don't. We ignore Gaza. We ignore the West Bank. Now the West Bank is going to be annexed. Gaza's going to be annexed. That's what they said they'll do. There is never going to be a Palestinian state. Netanyahu said there will never be a Palestinian state. Now, think about that for a second. And then think about the October attacks. Charlie Kirk said, at best, Charlie Kirk said this, at best, the attack on Israel was allowed to happen.
Mm-hmm.
At best. Okay, I'm of the same opinion. As soon as it happened, I'm familiar with Israel and its security apparatus, its military, its Mossad, and there's the other one. I forget the name now. It doesn't matter. It'll come to
They left the border unattended, Becky. I saw the footage.
Well, that's the thing. Completely. I mean, that's impossible. Like, yes, I know you're right, but it's impossible, right?
Unless it was an intentional black flag or false flag.
Correct.
That's
correct.
right.
And that's what we saw with 9/11 and other activities. Now, a lot of you don't remember 9/11 because you're young, or you were young when it happened, right? So you don't remember all the things. I remember everything on that day, and I studied what led up to it, and I studied what came after it. We've done a couple of shows on it, and the information is still relevant. And none of the questions that existed 25 or 24 years ago have been answered.
Mm-hmm.
Not one. Not one.
There's lots of coats of whitewash on it, I'll tell you that.
Exactly. So I'm really looking forward to Tucker Carlson's 9/11 documentary.
You'll
I really
have
want
to
to
tell
see
us when
what
that comes out.
Yeah, 29th of September, I think it is now. They did change the date because of the assassination.
Yeah. So on Gaza, Albanese, our Prime Minister, spoke at the UN and was asking for a two-state system. And I know your point, but I just want to make this obvious because at the same time as that happened, we call it like shadow parliament. This is the people who didn't win. They're in the crossbench. So that means they sit in the same house and they can vote against what the current sitting party is putting up as far as amendments and from the American audience. For that means bills getting to be passed. They can vote against them. Well, they've now said that they've written to the Republicans and said, you know what? We don't stand with the current Prime Minister and his beliefs about a two-party state. And Matthew, I know you've got something to say on this, but I just want to say that's kind of very strange that the shadow government in our country should approach the current sitting president and say, we don't believe what he says, right? We've got our own opinions. Mackie?
Thank you. The talking stick passes to me. No, look, Dave, we discussed this actually earlier, and this is an important piece of information to understand and put into context. Our opposition sent a letter to the US, to Congress or whoever, Trump, saying, "Oh, we will immediately reverse," as Dave has said. Right? Mm-hmm. The British opposition did the same thing. Mm-hmm. Same. Right now, the way foreign policy was always handled in Australia, and certainly, actually, in any country really that I can think of now, to be honest. So, foreign policy was a united front. You can have squabbles in Parliament, even inter-party squabbles about how certain things should go, and that's good, right? But you when you then go to the world, you have one message as a country. This is not that. Now, is this treason? A sitting government has made the decision and done a certain thing. In this case, recognizing the state of Palestine under certain conditions, of course. Mm-hmm. Hamas, etc., etc. Mm-hmm. Same with Great Britain, and in both countries, the opposition, the party in opposition, has gone to not Israel, by the way, mm-hmm. to Donald Trump and said, "Oh, if we get elected, Donald, nudge, nudge, wink, wink, we'll reverse this." Okay. Now, first of all, what do they think this message would accomplish? Mm-hmm. Number one, right? Is this now like Donald Trump goes, that a boy, that a boy? Is that what they're looking for? Are they looking for, I don't know, election help? So to be clear, it is illegal for a foreign nation to interfere in our election. Mm-hmm. Okay? It's called election interference. Funny. Not very imaginative, but that's what it's called.
They and
it's illegal.
Night.
So thinking about that one, that's mm-hmm. right. Same in Great Britain. So going behind the sitting government's back and doing the opposite, or promising to do the opposite of what this government has just done, mm-hmm. is treason. That's treason. They have committed treason. Do you understand this? Whoever sent this can now be... Look, I don't know if in Australia we still have the capital punishment for treason. In Great Britain they do. But that's treason. If you treat with another nation behind the government's back, promising the opposite of what that government is doing, mm-hmm. that is called treason. We have got a treasonous opposition.
Well, we have a very left-leaning left party leading Australia, and the very right-leaning right shadow government is the same vein or running in the same line as the Trump government. They don't believe in the climate changing at all. They want to sell us up the river and mine even more things, and the left in Australia is trying to stop all of that, although they actually never actually stop it. They just make it worse. So they've just agreed to all the climate treaties. This is the problem we have, that our right is now positioning itself to align with the Trump government, with the Republicans. We'll have an election before they have an election.
Yeah, but to what end? You see, the thing is, okay, so you've now stated your intention. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. It makes no sense unless some help.
Oh, right? Yeah.
Unless
there's
they
donations
expect
to be had, Mickey.
Well, absolutely. Now, mm-hmm. Israel, of course, goes, "Oh, that's great." Netanyahu was, all beside himself, thinking, "Oh, that's fantastic." Now, let's be clear here. A two-state solution has always been on the cards, mm-hmm. even before the Oslo agreements. Okay, the PLO. You don't remember the PLO probably, but the PLO under Arafat, that's what they wanted. They wanted a two-state solution. Okay. Now, you know what the funny thing is? Do you know how Israel came into being? What became the Likud party started out as a terrorist organization. Okay. In Israel, which was then Palestine, the protectorate of Palestine, they attacked British and I think Palestinian and other targets, bombed them. It was literally a terrorist organization fighting to gain control over Palestine, and the Palestinians did the same, but were much less successful, clearly. and there was a lot of money coming into the Zionist movement at the time as well. But be clear, Israel started as a terrorist organization. Okay, you can whitewash history as much as you like and talk about all the upsides of slavery. Okay, if you want, that's all good, and remove all negative things from the Smithsonian. You know, and you know what, Hitler never happened. That's right, sure, whatever.
You can
say all these things, but yeah, burn all the books, burn them. But it doesn't change the fact that these things happen. Okay, and I find it rich that now Israel would say, "Oh yeah, Hamas is a terrorist organization." Not saying they're not. Again, it's a point of view, right? But I think what Hamas does is horrendous. But it's in really no different to what the the original terrorist organizations used to do back in Palestine, trying to gain control of the protectorate.
What about
that happened? It happened.
What about, I mean, it's probably completely different, but I was likening it up until you said that with Putin's special military operation, where he was just trying to initially get rid of the Nazis. That's what he said.
The Nazis.
Do you remember
That's
that?
what he said.
That's what he said.
No, yeah. But look, he was not entirely wrong, right? There were regiments of volunteers which were rallying around Nazi symbolism, and I watched a documentary around this, which was very good actually, I thought. And the reason this happened, they needed a strong flag or a strong symbol to gather around. Mm-hmm. So, in their wisdom or stupidity, they chose the Nazi symbolism, right? And that's not all of Ukraine. This is specifically in the Crimea and in the, I guess, the occupied territories, if you will. Okay, that's where and these are not regular army units either. Initially, these are what we like to call, I guess, guerrillas or partisans, or I don't know, but non-regular military, right? Now, of course, it's all pretty much kind of the same. The Ukrainians have, incorporated all fighting units into their army. So it wasn't wrong. Of course, it was complete nonsense that all of Ukraine was Nazi and they were killing people or whatever, whatever they said they were doing, all these crimes that were being committed.
So my point is, to Putin, to his face, you might have got rid of all the Nazis. You're going to give the land back? Niet.
There you go, boom. Good question.
Right?
Niet.
No.
That's not obvious.
Not a chance.
Not today.
Not today, saying, right?
Yeah. But nobody is talking about this anymore, Dave. Thanks for bringing it up, by the way, right? But nobody is talking about any of that anymore, right? Now, what is being said is, the reason for the war is the expansion of NATO, which I believe to be much closer to the truth, right? I can see that. But of course, he shot himself in the foot there because NATO expanded significantly ever since the invasion. A number of countries joined NATO.
Right? Flying drones over Poland isn't going to help at all. So
actually,
it's only making it worse. But but his argument is, look at how aggressive they're becoming. So if I was to punch in the head a guy at a bar, at a regular bloke's bar, just walk up and punch him in the head, and go, you're a Nazi, and then start saying that he was part of a collective of NATO, and the more angry he gets, the more people I put onto the fight. I'm just not. I'm having a really hard time following Putin along his publicly admitted reasons for his conflict, but what we draw together is him bringing back the good old days, reuniting it, getting a warm water port, trying to expand his land and protectionism around Moscow because of the distance missiles can go now. You need a lot more distance on it. And it's also really, well, it used to be really fertile farming land, but now with all the unexploded ordnance, it's going to take decades to clear those mines.
Oh,
yeah,
absolutely.
Ridiculous.
Absolutely.
So it's actually ruined the breadbasket of Europe. Because up until that very point, going west along that whole flat where it used to be all glaciated, is perfect land for agriculture. It's so accessible, and it's got those warm water ports right there.
Yeah. Indonesia, large parts of the Arab world and other parts in Southeast Asia got most of their grain.
That's right.
From the Ukraine.
Yeah,
that's a fact. But look, Donald Trump, Vladimir Putin has one overriding objective, as we all know, and it is completely irrelevant what stands in his way. It's irrelevant what he has to do to get there. It's irrelevant how many people have to die. And he does he lie? is he
sure.
Opening his mouth?
He breathing? Yeah.
He wants to bring back, as we've said many times before, the glory of the Soviet Union. Okay, that's what he wants. He wants to bring back the glory. Whatever.
The marching in the streets, Becky. All of the gold medals at the Olympics are great times. Copying US space technology, firstly innovating the hell out of it, and then copying it towards the failing end of it. But you know what, Becky? They had a tremendous bomber troop transport which used what's it called? When you the ground effect. It was a quad engine jet, short winged thing that could fly at 700 kilometers an hour at sea level, using ground effect to quickly deliver troops or weapons to your enemy. Fantastic. And it's in mothballed now because, everything fell apart. So I like military innovation. I like tech. I really do. And I like when it's developed because of paranoia. And I like when it's developed quickly during conflicts. And we're seeing that right now. I'm not saying the killing is good. I don't like the killing part, but I like the innovation. Because the innovation, post-war innovation, comes to the public.
Look, that's the truth. Most of the things, most of the technical advances, 90% easy, that the human race has ever made were born out of conflict.
Absolutely.
That's a fact. And not only out of conflict, but out of either preparation for conflict or the attempt to avoid conflict. But conflict, it was. That's right? I mean, the Cold War saw massive advances. And funnily enough, there wouldn't have been a space race if there hadn't been conflict.
That's right.
Okay. So it's interesting to look at it from that lens.
If Germany won the war, they would have been first to the moon.
Oh, no doubt.
It was
in fact,
their rocket program.
100%. They would have been if Germany had won the war in the late 40s, let's say, they would have been on the moon by the late 50s.
Yes.
Okay, they would have probably gone on to Mars, because once Germans keep going, they keep going. They would have been onto Mars in the 60s, and who knows where it went from then, right? But I can see that as an alternative history, certainly. But the thing is,
the rocket engine, the jet engine, fixed the flying wing, German.
Yep, absolutely. And again, it took the entire world.
Did they make anti-gravity, Mackie, and the Nazi belt?
I want to say yes. I think
want to say
anti-gravity.
Yes well.
I think. Yep. I want to say they also used thorium in reactors, and I think there is evidence, not good evidence, that the Nazis, or the Germans, I should say, used an atomic bomb on the Eastern Front. There's some evidence for that. There's evidence for the bell being used or having very strange effects. So one could be time travel, another could be anti-gravity or anti-gravitational properties, another one could be interdimensional, and it brings to mind the Kecksburg UFO, which was very much
just popped into existence over there.
Correct, which is very interesting. And again, Joseph P. Farrell is the author I mentioned last time, The Reich of the Black Sun. He wrote a number of really well-researched books, I have to say. Look, make up your own mind, read them yourself. It's very interesting. Joseph P. Farrell, double R, double L, I think. Just have a look at those works. I find them very interesting and very thought provoking. Certainly, we have seen military push us further and further, make more and more advances, right? Absolutely. So is it necessary then? Maybe it is. Maybe if we didn't have conflict, we would still be, banging rocks together. I don't know. But we are the original killer ape, as they like to call us, right? And all our progress is bathed in blood, all of it.
Mm-hmm.
All of it. There are oceans of blood that we have spilled over the millennia. Yeah, I mean, in some instances, literally, blood was running in the street during the Albigensian crusades that the church undertook against the Cathars in the Languedoc area of France. There are accounts where they said the blood was running knee-deep in the streets of these cities. Now, that's a significant amount of blood flowing, right? Yeah, look, we are a violent species, but we can do better as well. And I'm hoping that what we're seeing today, Dave, in the States, see, is not so much. Look, I don't think China wants a war. I really don't think so. Things are going well for China. I mean, they couldn't be going better. Internationally, internally, they're doing really well. Russia, not so much. And China doesn't really have imperial ambitions. There are two types of empires. Russia and China are one type, and Great Britain, Spain, and America are the other type. So they are continental empires that expand the land that they have and around them. They just grow bigger and keep consuming, countries near them. That's China and Russia. And then you've got colonial empires, Great Britain and Spain, that would go overseas and establish, colonial dominance and outposts, etc. Funnily enough, there doesn't seem to be a mix. It seems to be either or. For whatever reason, I don't know, but that seems to be the case. And that's what the Russians are doing. The Russians are expanding, right? They're not going over to Alaska, or, well, they could, I guess, but they're not going to Africa to claim a colony. They're just expanding their land. China did the same when they took Tibet, for example, right? And that's why there are so many border clashes between Russia and China and India and China, because that's the friction point, right? They're not going out somewhere else to form a colony, right? Whereas the British and the Spanish were thinking quite differently. So does China need more space? Not really. China doesn't really need more space. In fact, China is probably closer to the 15-minute city than anybody else in the world. And I think Hong Kong is probably the prime example of what that could look like one day. Guangzhou, Hong Kong, Shanghai. Look at those cities, and I think you've got the poster child for the 15-minute city in the future. And China is going that way, I think, very much. It's a lifestyle thing as well. Whereas America now is sort of eating itself. Yes, militarily powerful. Yes, still a large economy and all that, but only for now. Everything that has happened over the last few months, and it's only been months, Dave. It's been months.
I know. That's,
right? I mean,
that's the disappointing part of it.
I know. I mean, the decline was already there, and I looked at it, and I thought to myself, I mean, I ask myself this question every time I go to an election. Really? These two? There's nobody better, but these are the two? Now, in Australia, we got 27, 28 million people. I guess you can forgive our lack of appropriate candidates to some extent. But you've got 300 million, I think 330 now in the United States, 330 million people. And Joe Biden was the best that you could do. Really? I mean, really? And Donald Trump. Like, I'm not surprised. Go on.
Institutionalized politicians go in, and we've said this before, go in with bright eyes and want to make change, and then immediately are arrested in a quagmire of red tape, the process that you have to follow. Then as we've seen in the US, a lot of people are making a very lot of money on the stock market by knowing in advance what contracts are going to be signed, and they buy into these. And this is all coming out now, and it's been going on for a long time. I'm not saying it's new. It's not new, and it disappoints me greatly that they're only in it to better themselves. They might not have started that way, but that's what they end up doing. And all of the COVID things and all of the, let's just say, all of the truths that they told us were true. It's just so disappointing to see how quickly you, as a government, as an official, can be swayed by an exterior party. I thought they would have had a lot more conviction to what was right, but they didn't. And I think the perfect combination, which has been used by leaders who want enough change to use fear as the number one driver to get motivated people, to get the people motivated, not to get motivated people motivated, but to get change happening in a very rapid pace. And I think we've seen the worst of the worst in the last 5 years, and I wouldn't want to see that continue at that pace. I think they need to put the brakes on and get back to what they used to do really well, and that is just, diplomacy and geopolitical, smoothing out and try to arrest everything, try to bring everyone up to the same level, rather than have a huge, mighty, almighty police on the planet. It just annoys me. It annoys me. It makes me sad, Meki, that's what it eventually happens anyway. It's Lord of the Flies, but with countries.
Yeah, but it is. But to your point earlier, most of these people are in it for themselves. I mean, I've listened to a lot of analyses now, and I read a lot. As you can imagine, I've got all these. Anyway, corruption is rampant. Corruption in every facet of politics, and not just in banana republics. And not just in but we're talking about in
not in Nepal and Indonesia.
Yeah, clearly not. In the US and Australia, it's hidden. It's more hidden, let's call it, right? But it is a reality. Corruption is a reality. Self-enrichment is a reality. When we're talking about human beings, whenever something fails, right? Human error, whatever. Whenever something fails, you can point the finger to a human being. Be it a political system like communism is a beautiful idea. It really is. It's a beautiful idea. But the problem, of course, is humans. Right? That's why it would never work. Right? Socialism, nice idea, right? And it works okay, but it could work a lot better. The reason it doesn't is because people. Right? And anything that is not going the way it should is usually people. Because somebody wants more than somebody else. I mean, read Animal Farm. It's not a children's book, by the way. Read Animal Farm, and you understand perfectly why things will never really work out unless we change fundamentally how we think about the world and how we act. We need to be better. We need to be better at, being human beings, really. Okay, and we're not. We're not. I mean, ego is a huge thing. And Donald Trump is Donald Trump and Vladimir Putin, Benjamin Netanyahu, actually, most political leaders, they are the epitome of a sick, big ego. A sick, big ego. And a sick, big ego is something that we just can't afford anymore. We can't cater to the whims of a sick, big ego, right? Because look what happens. Look what happens. Everything goes sideways. They do what millions of Russians have been killed or maimed. Okay? Tens of thousands of Palestinians and thousands of Israelis have been killed. I don't even know how many people have been killed in America in all the conflicts and in all the other stuff, MK Ultra and the medical experiments that went on in the States. Okay? Because of sick, big egos. And I think that's the music. Thank you so much for listening to our diatribe. It's been real. We'll be back on Thursday and then on Sunday again with a shiny side out. And again on Thursday, like I said, Platos Cave. Don't go anywhere. Something else is going to come up. If you see us anywhere else, like, subscribe, share, comment. Please, it does help. And what do we say, Dave?
Be safe, everyone.